Cutting hours has not changed since 2014. We went back and looked it up today, just information. You're getting 35 hours, Mike.
It's changed.
So,
We were getting 34 years, and if you went to cutting every other year, it could have doubled.
well, Kelly is the one that looked up the information, and she went back all the way to 14. And since 14, you've been getting 35 hours a year.
Right, but now you're cutting every other year, so it should double.
Well, it ain't gonna double unless these guys change their
I'm
mind on
pulling
it.
it out there for them. I mean, Jake, remember sitting on my couch the first year they done that? We talked about it before you even had a plan of being here,
Yes, you're right.
and I wasn't in a very good mood.
If we mow our own roads, do we get a credit for that?
Good question.
That's a good question. That's out of my pay grade.
You guys said back to me.
Boy, you heard it back then, didn't you?
You can pass that one down if one of them wants to answer that
I
question.
don't know how we've done that. How we've done that in the past.
We haven't. Just like here, they didn't used to mow it. We used to didn't mow all the time. We used
So
to
is that
spend so many hours.
$35 every, or 35 hours every year?
Windsor Special gets 35 hours every year.
Right. Where we were getting 34 every year.
Well, he just said we get 35.
Right, but they're cutting every other year. And
We cut it every other year now.
They're only keeping the 35 hours, so we're losing hours. I was.
When your mowing cycle comes around, you get 35 hours in Windsor Special.
Right,
And your mowing cycle comes every other year.
right, we're used to come every year.
So we're only gonna cut once a year? Or once every other year?
I cut this side one year, I cut this side the other year.
Right.
And that's with the brush cutter. Now,
Pull type.
the pull type mows everything except specials. And it'll mow the specials if you wanna pay, and Brent's the only one that's ever contacted me and said brush hog the roads.
I guess the best way for me to explain it is, if we take your paycheck, we've been paying you every month, now we're gonna pay you every other month, because you don't get the same paycheck. How's that gonna work?
Stretch your money.
No, I'm talking about your paycheck. If we give it to you every other month, you get the same check every month, but now we're giving you every month, every other month.
Well, you get your hours, you get your hours every other year now.
Sorry.
I know, and that's what I'm asking, I'm asking for a change, I'm asking for it to go back to where it was.
See, I don't know where. I don't know how we budgeted.
And that's out of your
before we
pay
got
grade
to
too, I
that.
know, it's up to them, but they're listening, I'm.
Of course, I don't know the answer to it.
Well, here's the deal, with the arm mowers, they're not getting the whole county cut in a year. That's why we switched and started cutting every other year, half of it every other year. I could start them in January and they're not gonna get the whole county mowed if they mowed everything and mowed your guys' special hours. The brush cutting just takes way too much time.
You know, we just do brush, we don't do no grass, we take care of our own grass, all of our hours go in the brush cut. Yeah.
We're,
Has to make that.
I can't hear you, Charlie.
Who's made the decision every other year?
These board, well, it wasn't this board, but the previous board, they're the ones that made the decision to go. And this is like the third or fourth year we've been into it.
Well, let's do the second, but the second time they cut, we'll be cutting.
So the first year that I was here, they was trying to mow the whole county with brush cutting, wasn't working out. The next year is when we made the switch and the county commissioners made the decision to do what I recommended, and that's half one year and half the other.
Can I ask a question,
Yes, sir.
Dennis? Because like, we weren't here, but from what I'm hearing, we're doing it every other year, so there's gotta be a savings to the county of some sort. There has to be. My question is, if that's the case, and it was budgeted in to do it every year, and I don't know if we can, I'm just saying this, but it seems like if that's the case, then why shouldn't we be able to give that extra money that we are saving, give it back to the townships and let them use it.
Well, to me, this brush cutting, you're not saving any money. You're losing money all the way around because you're always having to fix something.
Right, and I get that, but you're already budgeted for it. In 2013, it was budgeted in, and you knew whatever, it's gonna cost you $10,000. I got no idea.
One of the
So
things,
if that's the case, then we took it away, and I don't know why we took it away. I mean, other than you didn't think you could get to it, I get that. But that's still a savings to the county. So it's a savings to the county, but it's gonna cost the townships in some way or form. So is there any way, and like I said, I don't know, but is there any way that we could, like, okay, look, you're not gonna get that, and I don't know how many hours, I guess I could look, but is there any way that we can give that money to the townships to replace what we took away from them?
may I intercept one thing? One of the things back years ago, and I know, years ago, what they used to do was give each township so many hours, and the specials got so many hours every year. Now, if they wanted more hours, they had to pay for it, because that's all they could do. Because we didn't have any equipment, we didn't have any money either. But anyway, the problem there is, and that's why then it got where we could mow, and what we ended up, every time we went into a township, we couldn't get a hold of the people to know what roads they wanted mowed, because they only had so many hours. So they tried to cure that deal. They thought, well, we'll just go ahead and try to mow everything. And that's where all this started, and that's where it ended up. And then when Dennis came in and some of the things there, and we built more bridges than we ever did, and that takes time too. And some of that, it gets interfered, because then your arm mower, what happens is, then a few years ago, we had a lot of breakdowns, because it broke down a lot, which, hey, when they break down, it's not an easy fix usually. And one time or two, we had the whole frame, we had to get ordered, and that taken a long time. Well, there's no way, if you don't mow any for 2-3 months, you're gonna get around the whole county. You can't do it, because there are just too many roads. Now, on the brush cutting mower, the 15-footer, we used to have a 10-footer, and we just mowed the side. Then we went to 15 to try to go up their ways and not go clear to the fence, because we couldn't get over there without that. And so that's where all that started. Now, from then, it went, and don't ask me why, well, I do, because they couldn't get around, so they decided to go ahead and just mow one side 1 year and mow the other side the other year, because the people are still working. But they stay busy, and just like last year, when they finish up the one side and the mowers, just they're.
The arm mowers finished up in December.
I think
Yeah.
there is an answer to yours, if there, I mean, previous to them mowing the whole county, I'm pretty sure we received $280 a mile on gas tax, and they lowered it to $240 the year they took over the whole mowing. So that's your dollar, if you're looking for a dollar. I think it was 280, they went to 240 per mile on our gas tax the year that they took over the whole mowing.
Okay.
So we can get something.
We can look back and
A little
find
bit,
out,
something
easy,
taken
we ought to
away,
be able to.
right.
I didn't
Yeah.
remember what they done, but I do know that. But I
That's
know
like
when we first come
all we
in.
was be interested in is conversation, because
Yeah.
we wasn't getting mowed, so we went out and bought our own brush cutter. our own
Yeah,
arm
yeah.
mower.
Okay. The other part, I don't know, all I know is what we'd done, that part, and what it was, it's kinda like when we first came in, 2011, you got, 2.5 miles of cart rock every year, every township, that's all they got. Didn't matter how many miles of road you had, it was 2.5 miles,
Plus a half-mile match,
huh?
plus a match.
Plus the map. But guess what? That's all anybody ever got. And it didn't matter if you had, some of them had a lot more miles in it. And we changed it to say, okay, we needed to get it where it's, you get paid so much a mile instead of so many miles, because some of the townships, you only got 10 or 12 miles, and you got 2.5 miles every year. I agree, boy, you could have nice roads all the time, but that's some of the problems they have with it. Yeah,
I got a
Bob?
question about your brush cutter. Would it be feasible or, to start spraying to kill the brush? I know there's a big
Yeah.
No,
insurance thing, but,
Yes,
you can spray next month, pro crop hits.
okay.
that's the problems with it. You have to, you can
And
get
the
the mix and you really, and then you kill a field of beans. That would- Yeah, that's a
In
reason.
some places,
Yeah.
in some places it would be happening.
And I asked MoDOT about it when I was down there, and I found out you can get, they got a mixture that they use, that they spray. But I'll tell you what, everybody was, they're just scared to use it because you are in for a big liability on it.
Okay. I was just curious.
Okay.
Hey,
Sorry.
Tim, if you're talking about the mowers, how many townships got their own mower and grader? We've got brush hog out there that they're supposed to use on our roads.
Okay.
You hardly ever see them, but do they get money back for,
No,
No,
because I
no.
go ahead and mow Davis Township whenever I go through there.
why? Because they got a brush hog, I want to use it.
They get the hours just like everybody else does on the pull type brush hog.
I don't care. With the pull type, I hate to say it, it's just like our roads. Most of us around there, if you got a brush hog, we go out and mow it ourselves. Even though you may come around, but usually, I don't care if you're doing it once a year, let's face it, it's gonna grow up. And if you get stuck in the spring and haven't mowed, guess what? It's gonna be grown before the end of the year. That's a tough
That's
time.
just
I'll
like
agree
Bob
with that.
Parks here. He mows his township probably 2 or 3 times a year. But whenever we get into Clinton Township, we go ahead and mow it also.
So you charge them for it?
No, we do not, because they're a township and we do not charge them. We do not, I mean, it's just something that we do when we mow, is we mow the townships. The specials are the ones that get charged anything, and that's for, mowing or extra arm mowing or anything like that. If these townships want extra hours on their arm mowing, contact me when we're in the area. We'll be more than glad to do it, but I'm not gonna wait till the machine's all the way over on this side of the county and haul it all the way over here to mow a mile.
How much do you charge an hour?
Without my cheat sheet here, I can't tell you for sure, but it's somewhere around 105 an hour.
Are you talking brush cutter or the mower?
The brush cutter.
What did the brush cutter cost?
It costs somewhere around $237,000.
Was it a different type of brush one than you had?
It's no longer a tractor with a side-mounted diamond mower on it. It's a mower max that has its own funny-looking shape with its own big arm out there.
But it doesn't have the blades the same as the old iron one.
It cuts more. It cuts higher than
flail,
the
isn't
old.
Well, we got both.
No,
Isn't it a mulcher type
Well,
one?
we got
one's a mulcher and one's a
blades.
blades.
So it looks like.
Well, I think the mulcher would be better because we pick up sticks all over the roads whenever we use it.
I can't choose and pick and choose wherever I run them mowers. Whatever comes down your road, that's what you're gonna get. You might have mulching on one road and sticks on another road.
How many do we have of the arm mowers?
2,
So you bought a new one after the one burned up on our road?
yes.
And that's when we went to the mulcher. We'd been looking at them, but we hadn't done anything, and then Dennis done all the checking, and yes, most of the counties, if they used one, they all liked it. They said, you'll never want to go back to one of the others. I don't know whether this be the first one, that's the reason why we was trying. Because if we had to, we could try to buy a mulcher head for the other one,
How much
instead of the
difference
arm.
on price was it?
Huh?
How much
I
difference?
don't know what the price was on the mulcher head. Do you,
It was about $15,000 difference.
yeah.
That's cheap.
But at the first time when I bought them, you couldn't get, the mulching head wasn't the type of mulching head that we got now. It was more of a flare mower
Yeah,
type
flail.
deal.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Mark, you want to go ahead and talk about your kitchen?
Want the mic?
Say that again.
Want the mic?
No. Yeah,
I think it's muted.
Actually, I'm telling everybody, they got me down here for fencing, talking about fencing, but I also, there's gonna be a couple other things actually, as long as we're in this.
Set the mic down there, bud.
You guys, as a township, you guys need to make sure, can't hear, oh, I guess I do need it. Okay, can you hear me now?
No, you got a mic. There you go, turned off.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
You hear me now, I know.
yeah.
What, as the townships or specials,
You already cut out on you?
yep. I'll just have to talk
The
loud.
battery might
Here?
be dead
Stand up
too.
and talk.
It was off to the side. Really
Yeah,
well.
go ahead and stand up.
As townships, you guys need to make sure, when somebody pulls their fence down, that they contact you, or, and this is gonna be on you guys to let them know. Because you've got a lot of roads out here that the edge of your road is 5 feet from a fence. Once they take that fence down, we're gonna move it to where it's supposed to be. Because he's gotta be able to get equipment through that easeway, whatever you wanna call it. My understanding is the only way you can do that is if you decide to take that fence down, you need to leave one strand, build your fence back, then pull the one strand and do it again, do the rest of it. Because we had in Windsor Special, we had a guy 2 or 3 years ago that did not contact Mike, put up a fence, and it was a really nice fence. I mean, a really nice fence. He had it, it looked great, pulled tight, everything else. But he put it in the wrong spot. I had to tell him he had to move it. So I know as sure as I'm sitting here, what's gonna end up happening is somebody in here is not gonna let people know, and then they're gonna come to the county and want the county to do something about it. So I would prefer that we head this off on the front end.
How are people gonna know that?
Well,
Do that?
that's the thing. That kind of rolls into what I wanted to talk about a little bit. Jake and I are new. Some of the stuff that I've seen since I've been here, some of it's the county's fault, some of it's the township's fault. You guys need to understand, you are a government entity, okay? Therefore, you have rules and regulations that you need to follow. This, one is you need to hold meetings. Picking up the phone and going, hey, Joe, this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna pay these bills, ain't gonna cut it in 2025. It's just not. You're setting yourself up for a lawsuit. I'm just telling you. You need to keep minutes. If someone comes back on you guys and you have no minutes, guess who's gonna lose? And I don't know how many of you are, and I don't know how many of you aren't, but I know there are some that are not. You also need to publish where your meetings are, when you're going to have them, because I can't tell you how many phone calls I've gotten in 3 months that your constituents have no idea when your meeting is, who's on the board, and what's going on. Honestly, I mean, I don't mind fielding the phone calls, but that's why you guys have a township. That's your job. Everybody sitting in here, that's your job. So therefore, I'm going to say you need to do your job. You will save yourself a whole lot of trouble. You'll save us a whole lot of trouble. The other thing is, you will run into this. You're gonna have somebody come along and, excuse me, sunshine you to find out what's going on in your township. Because somebody's not happy about Joe running it the way he's running it, so they're gonna get pissy. And they wanna know. If you cannot provide those minutes and you fail to let them see those minutes, you do not want to get in trouble over the sunshine law. You do not. I'm telling you, I mean, all you gotta do is look it up. You guys can find it. That's not a route you wanna go down. I just, like I said, for the last 4 months that I've been here, and the complaints, whatever, that I've gotten from people about townships, the way it's run, this guy's doing this guy's doing this, this guy's doing this. You would save yourself a whole lot of time, effort, and pain by keeping track of what's going on in your township and run it like a government entity. Paperwork, whether you do it electronically, you do it on a piece of scratch paper and you keep it, it's gonna be your best friend. I'm just telling you. I get it. I mean, we are a small community. That's why I moved down here. I like the good old boy kind of deal. I'm gonna shake your hand and we're gonna walk away and everybody's gonna be satisfied. It's 2025, you can't do that anymore. You have to cover yourself, whether you are just the township, doesn't matter what position you are in that township, you need to cover yourself.
Mark?
Yeah.
Question on that, back on the fence deal. Is there a right-of-way width that's established?
I think it varies on
It
roads.
varies. The problem is, your old townships, especially when you get down in Leesville and some of them different places, the roads are, well, in fact, I looked up one the other day, what was it, over in Bethlehem, I believe.
They moved.
That we talked about. Anyway, 40 feet, what the easement is on that road. And then you put a road, 2-car deal, how much room you have for ditches. You're right there. When you go down in Leesville, you'll see the old fence is there, and it's right there at the edge of the road. And and the next thing is, one of the things you gotta remember, roads move. They'll move over the period of years because the more you grade, and it depends on the grader and how they done. When you're ditching, if you move over a little bit, guess what? It changes that. But that's why you really just, what we have always done, you find out the easement width, and you go from the center of the road out each side. That's the way they've done it. Because
So you're
nobody
saying
knows the
if you
answer.
have a fence that's too close to the road, and you want to put in a new fence, just at least leave one barbed wire, and you can put it back right where it was, as long as you leave one wire.
It's gotta hold, that it has to be able to hold livestock, I think is how it.
I mean, yeah, your posts have to be so far apart, and that was what we looked at the last time.
Yeah.
If you guys ever need to know what the right of way is on a road, feel free to call me. I can look it up and there's on the computer, and I can tell you that 500 road is a 40-foot easement, or if you go down there in Bethlehem, he's got a road that's 30-foot easement and one 40-foot. They vary from 30 to 60 feet, and sometimes
My
they're
point is, if you're gonna put in a new fence, just don't tear the whole fence out, because the fence is grandfathered in where it is.
yes.
And so as long as you don't tear everything out, you can put it back where it was.
Yep, if you want to be that way, yep.
Yep,
Okay.
that's it, that's it. In answer, because you asked me and I never did answer you, how are people supposed to know that? That's basically gonna be up to you guys. I mean, I don't know any way the county could actually get that
Rules and regs on that?
as far as.
I'm talking, when I give you a 40-foot easement, Brad, it's like down there where the Mennonite school is.
That's,
It is 40 feet, and that's from fence to fence.
road.
So if you need to measure it out to locate where somebody's fence is gonna go back, just measure your road, find out how wide it is, and if it's like 18 feet, then find 9 foot, and then go out 11 foot after that,
It's
and
same.
you got 20 foot that way, and 20
Yeah,
foot
same
that
thing.
way.
There you go.
Shouldn't that be on your deed? It shows you how much right of way you got.
Do what?
Deed shows you how much right of way you got.
Charlie, you're gonna have to speak up.
Deed will show you how much right of way you got.
I don't have your deed, so I can't tell you.
I didn't say my deed, you know?
Anything else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, that's,
To change the subject,
All right, yes.
do you have any influence with the railroads and their crossings?
No. I worked for 2 years to try to get right out there at Bridge Barn. Never did come up with even who would say they owned it. I had everybody, oh yeah, so-and-so, and call down in Texas, Houston, different places. Oh, well, you need to call so-and-so. Then they ended up back in Kansas City, and it's still, well, we really don't know. We lease it from somebody else. So anyway.
Changing the subject again. The railroad is a interesting thing because they really fixed the ones up really good here in town. Out towards Montrose, they are crap. And Ladue and all the way down there, but changing the subject again, our MoDOT people on my town, my road that I live on, they're gonna resurface it, which is gonna be a wonderful thing. But the culverts have been needed to be replaced for 5 years. They've been putting concrete at the bottom of them. I've already called the state representative and other people and putting bugs in their ears, but they're out of money for culverts. But they're gonna redo the whole damn road and then come back next year and dig them all up.
That's,
Now, have you all got any clout that you can grab them by the balls and, well,
I tell you what, Big Greg Smith, see here quite a bit. And,
Welcome to MoDOT.
but anyway, that's MoDOT, that's just the way it
it's
works.
just not on, it's
Well,
just,
we got some that work for MoDOT, Mark, Jake ought to know, and
There's others out there, you know, I promise you, they know more than I do.
well, I'm sorry, I brought that up. I've already made several phone calls and
Yeah,
I'm just blowing smoke up
I don't know
there.
anyway.
Some of these roads, Bob, like T Highway, wasn't on the books to get done. But when they had extra money,
They went ahead and
they went ahead and added it, but they didn't go in there and replace the culverts. Now Z Highway, if you go down there,
They
it's
replaced the
been
culvert.
on the books to get widened and relayed. And so they went in there and replaced every culvert on that road.
Well, that's a
And,
rock where it's coming out.
and they're gonna widen the road 2 foot on each side, and they're gonna lay new asphalt down Z Highway, but it's been on the books. And that's some of the problem that MoDOT has, is they throw a road onto another job just so they can get the money allocated to a road, and they don't sometimes look at the infrastructure of that road.
That's ass backwards, what they're doing. I'm sorry. You gentlemen, you got a job to do. I've vented.
But I call MoDOT weekly and complain about approaches and stuff at different locations. And if you guys want to take on the county approaches, talk to Jake, because he's been in touch with the person that said they'd buy the material, but you got to supply the labor and the manpower to fix them.
I wasn't planning on going forward with that.
I had to. I started taking them over there. They buy the rock and I'll fix them. It's just, you know, I like to eat my coffee in a cup on the way to work in the morning. It's just easier to do it that way.
I take it like a shot just before I pull out on the 7
I
highway.
eat coffee.
Oh yeah, it burns like hell, but it, you know.
Jake, do you have anything
I
else?
got a question.
Yeah. Yes.
When are you gonna raise the price on our rock that you pay on the cart funds? We spend about $80,000 to $110,000 a year for rock. The bill has gone up $2 a ton, which adds quite a bit to our township budget. So why is the price that you pay on your level for the cart for the cart roads, why does that price, why has it stayed the same for about the last 3 years when the price of rock has gone up at least $2 a ton in the last 3 years? And the price of hauling's gone up.
Yeah.
Where's
I don't know the answer to that. I don't even know what it was last year.
I mean, are you using it
That's
all
what
to
he's
buy
talking
new
about right there,
equipment?
right?
Or why couldn't you raise everybody's price on the cart roads and bring, so everybody in the whole township could enjoy the little more rock?
That'll depend on
Any
the,
answer?
I usually rely on two commissioners to decide there, because that's their deal. They're out
I don't
there
know
all
the
the
answer
time.
to that. That's one thing.
Just like we try to, they have tried to work on it, and they looked at it this year. Yeah, and they're,
But they're just new. They didn't sell
I know
it.
that.
I'm gonna take a little bit of this just for a second, because Jake and I actually have been discussing this the last 2 commissioner meetings amongst us. When I got on, probably 10 years ago, I think, on the Windsor Special. First time I ever came to one of these meetings, I can remember sitting back here. And the townships were getting 51%, and the county was getting 49%. The next year, either the next year or 2 years later, I actually took over as president, and I realized we had a switch. Now, the county was getting 51%, townships were getting 49%. I get it, how this has gone, because I know even before Dennis came on, the equipment that Road and Bridge had was, all of it was crap. I mean, it was. So I understand taking more money and more money away from you guys to get Road and Bridge built up to where they've got decent equipment. He can send his guys out to do what they need to do. It's safe. They've got everything they need. Like I told Jake the other day, I think we've gotten to the point, and I may be misspeaking, because I haven't even, Dennis, this is going to be a surprise to you, I'll tell everybody. I haven't even said anything to him yet. But it just seems to me like maybe we need to go the other direction again. Because unless there's something huge or something that I don't know about or that Dennis needs, at least right now, equipment-wise, I think he's sitting pretty good. You guys are taking the hit. So it seems like to me, maybe, because I think you're down, I think Rick told me in that whatever it was, that conference we went to, the commissioners conference we went to, you guys are getting 37% right now. That's what you're getting. So that means we gotta be getting 63,
38.
38, is it 38%?
38 is right here.
Okay. I've been be
So it's
brutally
right.
honest with you, I don't know how you're doing it. I mean, I don't. I mean, it's like anything else, you can only do what you can do with what you're provided, the money to do it. That works for you guys, that works for the county. So there's got to be a happy medium in here somewhere where we get some of this money back in your guys' hands for you to do what you need to do to take care of the roads. Now, in saying that, some of you are going to think I'm an ass, but it wouldn't be the first time somebody has thought that, so I'm going to go ahead and say this anyway. Some of you need to take care of your roads a whole hell of a lot better. I've drove some of these roads. Anybody that's putting gravel down and not grading, you're wasting your money. When you have got potholes, and I've been on one in particular, Dennis and I went for a ride, he took me out there. It's really nice from the highway, maybe 1.5 miles. And you follow that road the rest of the way around and it literally will jar your teeth. Now they're taking gravel and they're pouring gravel over the top of those roads, and in 2 weeks that gravel's out of those holes and you still got what you got. So I don't have a problem. I told everybody when I was running, at least anybody in here on the north side, I was gonna try to help you guys get as much as I can so you are able to do your job. I mean, I think that's the way it should be. but you gotta do your job.
But
I don't wanna
that-
fight for you.
That place have its own graders that you're talking about.
Pardon me?
The roads that you're talking about, do they have their own grader?
Some of them do. Some of them do.
And if
Some
they
of them don't.
What do they do then?
If they don't, then they would do what they've always done, is you find somebody to do it. Because you don't own a grader doesn't mean that gives you free gratis to just say, well, hell, we're not gonna do anything with it, because you're wasting your money. Yep, we've got, I know there's, I think Kevin does that for a couple of different townships. I mean, there's a way to work around this, guys. I mean, there really, really is. This is not rocket science. You do whatever you have to do with what you have, and you do the best job you can. But
in
if
our
you're
case,
taking,
and you know, because our gravel money was so far down, you gotta buy excuse my language, a piss of poor gravel to be able to gravel something. Now we're paying for it because gravel didn't last as long.
Right.
So if we can increase our money, at least we can put down better gravel, which is gonna give us better roads in the long run.
right, and I agree. That's why I'm talking about this cart the way we can't give you any more money off your property. All right, and the only way that happens, you guys raise your levies. That's the only way that happens. You want more money from that, that's up to you all. And I have talked to some people, I will tell you, I've talked to some people that said they'd be willing to pay a higher levy to have better roads.
You're talking about putting a special road district in a township.
No.
Is that what you're talking
Well,
about?
no, but even that, I mean, if you want to go into that,
That would generate more revenue for that.
I personally, I'm gonna make all sorts of people mad with this, but I mean, if it was me and I was any of you guys, I'd form a special. Because at that point, now, he's your commissioner, right there, Danny,
Yeah,
in your special. Your president is your commissioner. You do whatever you want. Us sitting up here have no control whatsoever over who wins the special. Nothing. All we do is give them their cart money and give them their other money. That's it. They do whatever they want. We can't say a word. It doesn't make any difference. I mean, I could go out and bitch a little bit maybe if somebody calls me about something, but they could look at me and take a hike. But in order to do that, you got to vote. You're going to pay to have that special. It's going to be on your tax, and you're going to get more money. You're going to be taxed more money, which will give you more money for your road district.
But then you're totally, the special's totally up to maintain the bridges.
We've had 80/20s. We had an 80/20 out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Our township passed a 25-cent levy several years ago, and specifically for gravel only. And we spend every penny of it, and that keeps everybody in the township seems to be happy anyway with it, but it's still costing, we're gonna run out of money to do everybody in the township every year, because of the price of gravel has gone up. And
Right.
that's the only way
The levy's gotta go up
that
too.
25-cent levy goes a long way. It doesn't sound like much, but it adds up, it helps out to get through the township.
Right.
I mean, and I hear what you guys are saying, but you also got to understand, it's not only going up for you, it's going up for the county. Everything that's going up for you guys is costing us too. That's why I'm saying there's got to be some kind of a compromise in there. To where, trust me, at least for me, I want to get you guys as much money as I can. But it's got to be done in such a way that it doesn't hurt the county, that it doesn't hurt Dennis, so Dennis is able to do what he needs to do. And the only thing I can think of is, it's like, I don't know how many of you in here are business owners, but it's no different than running a business. And if part of your business is lacking, which would be the townships, then you adjust and put a little bit money into that. And then when you get up to where you need to be, when it comes back the other way, you pull it from them and it may come back to the county. It's going to have to be a give and take Otherwise, it's just gonna be everybody hitting their fucking head against the wall, us trying to get stuff done, and you guys trying to get stuff done. So, I honestly don't know what the fix is. I don't know where you guys would be able to get more money, other than in the cart side. And you're not gonna get, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not gonna be like all of a sudden you're gonna get $10,000, because that's not what it is.
I've got a question. You said we used to get 51.
Yes.
Now we get 38.
Yes,
So you get 62 and you used,
Yes.
you changed that.
Commissioner,
I think, and Jim actually could probably answer this better than me, but I think it's been over a period of time.
Who changed it though?
It would have been the commissioner.
Commissioner's done it.
It would have been the
Down
commissioner.
part of it. And next thing is, just like in your all's case, one of the things there that's hard on townships, they can't afford to have a full-time person. Very few of them can do it. The smaller townships especially. That's the way I would see it. Now, Windsor Special has always run good, but they also have Windsor Township involved in it too, and it connects. So that's what they're doing. And then they got a road grader, they got a man that works every day. It makes a heck of a difference on what you can do. And because then that road grader, you're gonna have to take care of it, you're gonna have to do it, but it costs money. And then you gotta look at what you're doing, and when you're looking at the whole county, you got a lot of road graders there if you do ever one township have one. And if you don't, share one, or make something work out, that thing. And for goodness sakes, just like all these others, one of the things that needs to be done, when you all make a deal with another township, that needs to be put in your minutes, and it needs to be recorded so we know it. That's some of the problems, that you never know what. And then when you lose a board member, or behold, you lose all of them, guess what? Nobody knows what it is. And that causes a lot of issues, because they're walking in there green and they don't know anything. It takes a little bit. You got to give them a little bit of time to learn, just like these guys. Like I told them, they got a lot to learn. And just like Mark, he's dealt with Windsor Special. That's great. He knows about that. But the regular townships, he didn't know how it all worked.
Cole? It's not really so much that the commissioners kept more money from us. It's just the money they received kept going up and our dollar amount didn't change. That's really the answer to the question.
So the money they received, what's the difference? Is that money, county money?
It's state
We're
of
paying more
Missouri.
taxes in the township than I've ever paid.
Yeah, but this cart money they're referring to comes from the state of Missouri.
Okay, but
Yeah.
they're driving new equipment.
Yep.
We're out here trying to scrounge and make the equipment we've got work, and our percent's going down. Are you guys gonna raise the amount we get
I
back?
agree with you. It ain't that. I was just meaning, they're not changing the percentage. It's just the percentage of money that comes in changes, therefore changes the percentage. Because they give us
Seems
that.
like
No,
see-
more taxes coming in.
No, you've still got the same, what it is if you got $10,000 coming in, unless I'm totally off track here, if you've got $10,000 coming in, years ago, I'm saying we as the county, gave the townships 51% of that.
But it's not calculated on a percentage. That's the difference. That's why. It's so much, it's a dollar. It's per mile. So it's a dollar amount per mile. That's the only reason percentage changes.
That's at 240.
I'm just trying to help
That's
understand,
where
and make
Cole
sure I
was
understand.
saying it was 280 at one time.
tax?
No, the cart money.
Well, the card money that comes in,
card money
that's
that
a gas
comes in.
tax and all that. The problem is, just like a gas tax, until, when was it, 2 years ago, they finally raised it a little bit, 2 cents. And
So,
then they started, but it'd been going down all the time. I mean, there wasn't any.
so if we're giving you $240 per mile, okay? I take that times 38%, you get your amount of money. If I take that times 51%, and I take that times 51%, that's a big difference. It's a big difference.
You got equipment now, is the board gonna look that back up to at least?
Just like this.
$20?
Yeah.
Okay, so when's that gonna go into effect? To let these people know?
Gene, I didn't hear you.
The
I was
gas tax is times the dollar, is times the miles.
Yeah.
240 times the miles.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
gas tax.
So how many miles
The
of
miles
road
that
you
they
got
do.
in your township? It's not, if it's like it used to be, it's a lot more.
The 240 times the mile, by the miles in your road
Yeah.
is the dollar amount you get. That's why that hasn't changed in percentage. The 38% is, we are using Bear Creek for example, we have 7% of the roads in Henry County. Take 7% times, or 7 miles
Yeah.
times 38% gives us the total dollars of cart miles that we have to do. That is then times the amount of dollars you guys give us, which is 7,000. Another, again, not a percentage. You know, I'm just trying to help make sure everybody understands.
Yeah.
Yes, our percentages went down, and I totally agree. I think it needs to go the other way, but it's not because it wasn't that they were giving us 51% and we followed that. It's because it's a total dollar amount times, the gas tax is 240 times the miles. The cart roads is a percentage, 38% of the percent of miles you have in your township.
Township.
So that's why, because the total dollars you guys receive in cart money has went up. That's why the percentage sounds like it changed. I'm trying to explain that the best I can.
They've held the percentage the same for the last several years. The county holds back on the cart money. It hasn't increased.
Do you need one, Bob?
Maybe even gone. It stayed pretty low.
Kind of going downward.
I didn't bring extra on those, but anybody that wants me to.
It's the
The total dollar
7,000.
amount of cart money that comes from MoDOT has stayed the same for the last 10 years. They
No.
get the same exact amount of money.
No, it started coming up, in fact, when was it, when they voted that in? Because the gas tax, it depends on how much fuel's used. 2 years ago. Yeah, that's when it started raising.
You guys have been getting an increase in your gas tax money since 21, when the gas tax went
Yeah.
up 2.5 cents a year since 21.
For-
So unless the county has sold less gasoline,
Yeah.
we should be seeing more revenue, and that ought to be shared with us. And Mark, I appreciate you recognizing the issue
Yeah.
that we're not getting at, but what's our expectation when you guys are gonna change it? Is it Tuesday at the meeting, or is it next year or the year after? Because we all struggle to pay enough, to buy enough rock to keep our roads up. And nobody's got a perfect township, nobody's got a perfect road, but we have definitely, I feel like we've all gotten shorted since 21 because the county's received more money, but you haven't shared that with us. So, and I know that's not your fault, but again, what's our expectation of when you guys are gonna make a decision to increase that for us?
I think that's fair. I mean, honestly, I think that's fair. Like.
Probably
we-
budget time,
Yeah, because
honestly.
Budget time's when you're gonna have to do that, or.
So it is budget time.
Huh?
End of the year, Ed.
End of the year.
I got another little question. We had a little project in our township last fall and summer, and it involved a road that floods because of the Truman Lake backing up all the time. There was 4 houses on this road, 4 families, probably 6 kids involved, a school bus route. And when the water got over the road, at times it would stay over the road for 10 days. It's the longest time I think it stayed over the road. And the people that live on that road all drove out to work every day, had to. They couldn't drive it those days. They put a boat across so they could keep going to work. School kids just stayed in school, stayed home. We asked for the last probably 5-6 years, we've been after you to build the road up on there, and it didn't happen. And it didn't happen. It's promises. And this last year, we met with the commissioner, Northside Commissioner, had a verbal agreement to build this road up. And the bridges were bad. The bridges was built twice. They've been built twice in the last 10 years, and the bridges wasn't any good. The foundation, the footing wasn't any. Anyway, and they wasn't high enough. The water's 3 foot over the top of the bridges. And anyway, the people, the safety of these people that are behind this, if something happened to any of them, they couldn't get out. There's no way for them to get out of there. It's just a one-way deal. There's 2 roads in, and both of them flood real bad, just like that. So we started fixing on a verbal agreement, and we made arrangements with the landowner for the dirt and all that, and the township, or the board, the commissioner board, was supposed to furnish the dirt. Well, it went on, and the guy that they had to do the dirt work for, he backed out because it wasn't gonna be to his suit. He would furnish the dirt anyway for his purpose. But the lady that was gonna furnish the dirt was right beside the bridge. You built it. Anyway, we had a cart road, so we did a cart road, 1.5 or 2 mile cart road, and we had and the scraper man turned his bid into the county for doing this, to hauling this rock. And let him have all that. We don't haul none of our rock or none of our gravel out. All of your gravel's out in the ditch. We never haul any gravel off. We put it back in the road. The road just keep getting more and more. Anyway, the man hauled it in. He put in 2 new bridges. And then when it comes time to pay the bill, you wouldn't pay the bill. The county wouldn't pay the bill. We paid the scraper man $6,000 out of our county pocket. But what I question also is, who in the hell owns the road? If the county owns that road, it's not our responsibility to build that damn road up. Jim, what do you think? You was on the board when that come up.
I think I remember a little bit, Dennis said.
You voted to not pay it.
Can't remember
You
all
voted to
that.
not pay us.
I don't know really what all takes place there.
Well,
I mean,
you
there's-
should have. You're the
well-
county, the head of the commission.
I remember something about
The
it.
north
Dennis,
side,
you probably
the
know
north
about
side
it.
commissioner's the one that made that agreement with you, and that's not exactly the whole agreement that was made, because I was up there and met with you guys one
We
day,
did, we told you not to put that. Two culverts in to replace one.
and I told you it had to be done to carry the water load.
Have a lawyer.
Water, you don't have to have the water got within 6 inches of going over the road that you put in, that we put in. This last week, with an
So
inch and a half.
evidently you guys need to bring it up some more.
So you need to rebalance
Sir.
your figures.
You can file claims against the United States Army Corps of Engineers, but Truman Lake does fall under.
Okay, that's what I was talking about. The agreement was made, the road, no, let me finish.
It's not.
I can't hear you, I'm trying to listen.
That road belongs to the county. The township, all we do is log it and maintain.
But they're going about it the wrong damn way. You go after.
I don't know why, but we had to borrow our county.
Pardon me?
That's part of maintaining the road, Grayson.
Okay.
Hey, guys, hey, you're gonna have to hold it down, we can't hear people talking. I missed it. What did you say?
Mark, there was a question that says on the road. Does the county own the road or does the township own the road?
You know what, I'm gonna be brutally honest, that's probably something that I would have to look up for the statute for it. If you're asking me personally, I'm gonna tell you, I think that the county probably owns the road and the townships maintain it. But I don't know. I mean, I want to preface it with that. There's gotta be a statute that covers it. Pardon me?
I can't hear you.
Right.
Who was first, county or township?
That's what.
Let's get
This
before
is
my.
something that we were gonna discuss.
Who owns them?
And tell you, have you check on in private, but CTR brought it up. If you're getting flooded from Truman Lake, is that where it's backing up out of?
Yeah, but it's in the floodplain is where this is. The only time it backs up is whenever we turn.
Okay, because you have, in Corps of Engineer, like you have a pool, then you have a flood zone. So anything past that flood zone is your responsibility. Now, if that flood zone is here and that road is flooding here, then you need to contact Corps of Engineers. But if their flood zone is beyond that road,
Try it. Corps of Engineers wouldn't do anything.
all you gotta do is pull it. Because if it's beyond their flood zone, you have pool zone, flood zone. It's Corps of Engineers, it's not probably on the lake. If it goes beyond their flood zone, they are responsible for damage.
They should be,
But you gotta get the plans, and I don't know if Mark and the people on the board can get it, or you can get it. There's gotta be, but it's called pool flood zone.
Normal pool.
but it's, the road belongs to the county.
Oh, that's Scott, he does the math.
Well, if you want it fixed, you might have to do some legwork. We tried that.
I haven't had supper yet, so I'm gonna try to keep this meeting. If it's in a flood zone, you need to talk to the emergency management director, the floodplain coordinator. There is grants available for that kind of work to be done, but it's gonna be spearheaded by the county. Also working with the Corps of Engineers. If it's in a flood zone, you can start there.
I didn't have to get that money, did it?
Because they, I don't know, I agree with you, the property is wrong, but keep moving, please.
Yeah, that's what we'll have to see if it's in a flood zone. It depends on where it's at.
And that's up for debate. After the last flood.
You see, they have,
I want you to understand.
Obviously, there's some serious issues with
We said we would pay for all.
survey,
the
condition.
These people know that we are
When
doing.
I turned the bill, we just said we would pay for half the bill. When I turned the bill, in, I asked for half the money. Next year. $3,000.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even pay that.
That way it's like.
So basically, we done the whole thing. Our graders graded the whole deal up, graded it in.
let's look it up.
Yeah, that's good. Right, because sort of.
So I
Wouldn't worry about
I did
it.
put two covers in.
You remember about when that was?
Anyway, get the extra.
You remember?
Through a lot of stuff.
Last fall? Yes, we'll find out.
They weren't there when they poured. Decided which road to raise, they wanted to finish.
Okay.
See, I don't have anything to say. Just say send it down to Kelly, they're good.
Huh? Should we bring that up? Because that will affect the Senate bill if we're gonna raise levies and then freeze them.
Let's find out some more stuff. Yeah, because if we're going through road, it's not gonna make a difference.
Yeah. If it goes out.
I see like Kelly talking.
All right.
I don't have anything to say. I can say something.
All right, guys, I'm South Side Commissioner Jake Bradley. We're gonna move this on along a little bit here. I don't really have anything to say other than all my townships, I'm gonna trust you guys. You know your roads, you know your people around there. I will work with you and try to help you out, get questions answered, do some legwork for you if I have to. I don't mind, just give me a call. I've got,
That didn't happen.
I did leg room for you. Leg work, but that's all I got.
Find out.
Anyway, Jake and them are learning, they're doing a good job. Jake's really trying to follow through and check everything. Just like MoDOT, there's a lot of ins and outs there. And what we get done, I don't know what you're talking about, it's just tough to get, tough to get anything handled with MoDOT.
Okay,
But
can Jake give
that's-
us his phone number?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Yep.
You ready for it?
Right, you ready? Go ahead.
Okay. 660 492 0443. Sorry about that.
Is that the
I
right
don't call
number?
myself very
Is that the
often.
right number?
That's my commissioner phone.
Mark, you need to say that.
Yeah, it's 660-217-2334.
2334.
Okay. Any other, what, Kelly? Kelly has, Kelly's got a couple of things here to talk about.
I do have a couple things. As you guys know, the office is changing over. I have been there a while, but I'm learning new things every day. I made this township things to remember list for you. It kind of goes down when things are due. Not only did I make this for you, I made this for me so that I was paying attention. So if you don't have one of these and you want one of these, or somebody's here and you want to take extra to the rest of your board members, there's extra ones up here. The other thing that I have is the commissioners have asked me to have one of these township rule books made for each one of our road districts. So I only have one per township and one per special road district. Please designate whoever's going to come get that for you and grab one of these before you leave. It is basic how to operate your township. If you're new, this is wonderful to go to. If you're seasoned, this is also wonderful to go to. So I have one of these for each township and each special road district over here.
Kelly, do you have a sunshine law book too, or not?
I have some in my office. I don't have them here, but if you need a sunshine law book, absolutely come by. Obviously, it's on Google. You can get them there. I did throw some sunshine law numbers in here on the board meetings. I threw some sunshine law numbers in here because we are also getting a lot of sunshine requests in our office, and I'm having to send them to you guys for your township information. And then the folks come back to me and say, well, they didn't respond, or they don't know what they can give me. So yes, please read up on the sunshine law. I did include that on here, and how to operate your meetings. And then on the back, the elections, we just went through an election. Every year, inevitably, I have election paperwork that is not filled out properly. Townships have not taken proper filings. You guys are required by state law to do these things. If you're taking a position on the township board or the special road district, you are agreeing that you are going to follow through with this process every year to run your elections, to do your tax levies, to do your budgets and the financial statements. You guys are signing up for that. I know you only do it once a year, so it's not there in your head. So I kind of laid out for you exactly what you need to do at election time. I also send you a packet in November, which is in plenty of time, to get those notices in the paper. How many of you actually put your candidate filing notice in the paper? How many of you actually knew that you needed to do that? How many of you actually took candidate filings like you were supposed to and didn't just come in and say, oh, we didn't do that? I had elections this year for townships and special road districts who didn't even take filings. When you agree to do township and special road district, you are agreeing to do what the board needs to do. So please pay attention to this list. It tells you exactly what I need from you. And if you need anything from me, absolutely call me, and I will be glad to walk you through the process to make things easier. Yes, sir.
How are you billing us for the elections? I don't recall receiving billing like we have at the township. Every time we have somebody on the election, whether it's special election or not, do we get billed for it?
Yes, every time you call for an election, you are billed for it.
Is it the same amount?
No. It is, so April elections are there's 63 different entities within the county who could have an election in April. If only 2 of those election entities have an election, they're responsible for all of the election cost. If you spread that cost out between, say, 20 entities, then that's going to make that cost cheaper for each entity because you're spreading that cost out. It's based on the number of registered voters.
Can we pass that back to the special interest group that force us to put things on the election? We have to.
I mean, that's up to you as a governmental entity to pursue recouping your money. We cannot do that. That would be up to you as an entity to recoup that money. So what you paid, if they made you have a special election in August, or, you know, obviously people petition, we all know we're talking about planning and zoning. If they petitioned you to do in August, August is going to be a much more expensive election than say an April election is going to be, simply because you don't have one ballot, you have one ballot times 4 because you have 4 different political parties, and so it just makes the cost that much more. April elections, the more entities that you have on the ballot, the cheaper your election's gonna be. If the county has something on the ballot, we pick up the biggest cost.
Our road district can choose to pass on all the expense to the special interest that causes the election. We can bill it all to the, whatever they're coming forward with.
If they pay it.
Well, but we still have to put it on the ballot, is that right?
Right, yeah.
That's not nice.
Oh. I haven't done April election billing yet. We just had the April election. Also, if you have new members, make sure you're swearing them in. Even if you have been on the board for 42 years, I don't care. You are to swear in every time there is a new term. Okay?
Everybody's going, nobody's done a swearing.
Does the county help?
No, that's the township. That's on you. Yes.
So, say we get a clerk elected, how does the clerk need to come into you to get sworn in?
So for the township,
Correct.
the clerk can come into our office and get sworn in, and then they can swear in the rest of the board.
Okay.
For special road districts, they have to come in and get sworn in my office.
Question.
Yes.
On a special road district, we had no elections last time.
You still have to swear in because you're starting a new term.
New term.
Your term is only for 3 years. At the end of that term, you are a new board member, even if you've been there, and your oath is only as good as your term. Okay. Special road districts for your new people that just got on, make sure they're coming into our office to get sworn in. Townships, make sure your clerks are coming in to get sworn in.
Even the clerk was already present, or,
Yes, sir, it's a new term.
so he has to go in to get.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
What's your number, Kelly?
My number at the office is 660-885-7206. That's my direct line. I don't have a county cell phone number yet, so y'all are getting that one. My email address is countyclerk@henrycomo.com.
What's your cell phone number?
I'm not giving that out until I get a county number. Sorry.
Could you repeat your email,
Rick's number
please?
don't work?
My email is countyclerk@henrycomo.com. Payouts from our office, you get gas tax paid out in April. You guys should be getting that by the end of this month. It's hopefully going to be next week. Cart funds are paid out when the project is completed and approved by the commission. So when you get your cart road done and you contact your commissioner, they come in and they tell me to pay you. So that actually is dependent on you guys when you get your cart money. Anything from the collector's office, I can't speak for when you get what that is over there. You get gas tax from me and you get cart funds from me. It was brought to my attention at the beginning of the meeting that the direct deposit notices that you guys receive in the mail when you get a direct deposit from our office is not clarifying what that is for, and that it is kind of confusing to some of you. We are going to fix that. We will write on your direct deposit notice if it's cart money or if it's gas tax, so that you guys can differentiate between that. Yes, sir.
How do we go about changing mailing addresses for those? Because
Yep, that's fine. That's also covered on my agenda. Before you leave here, I would like to have contact information for your road board, including who receives mail for what. So I know some townships and some road districts have this guy getting the mail for the elections, and this one getting from the collector, and this one getting bills from Amy. I need to know who you want the mail to go to, and if you have new board members, who they are and what their phone numbers are, so that we have contact information for your entire board. I would be willing, if you guys are willing, to promise me that you will call me and email me that information. I am cool with that. If I don't hear from you within a week, I'm contacting you.
You don't have a.
Well, most of you I do. I have at least one.
We got yours, Cole.
I have at least one.
That'd be a low.
I know the commissioners touched on the tax levy. You guys have a general revenue tax levy. There are some townships that have passed, it's called a special road and bridge tax levy, and they have to renew that every 4 years. I think Deer Creek Township just passed one, maybe they just now renewed theirs. They noticed that they wasn't getting the funds that they needed, so they went after that special road and bridge tax. If that's something that you're interested in, come in, talk. I will show you what the other townships have done, how they've done it, and the process that they've done it. Then it goes to a vote of your people. You might be surprised, they may be willing to pass that tax because they want the roads better. So that is available to some of you who do not have that. So if you want to talk about that, come see me. I think planning and zoning in the county. I have been asked by a township who passed their planning and zoning recently if I would be willing, because I also maintain the county website, as minuscule as it is, if I would be willing to put their planning and zoning ordinance on the county website. I am willing to do that if I am told by your township to do that. I'm not going to just put them all up there, but if your township would like for me to put your planning and zoning ordinance on the county website, I would be willing to do that. I know that would cut down on some phone calls and things to those of you who have planning and zoning. It would also cut down on them calling me, asking me for it, and me having to send them to the township that goes. So there's 3 phone calls that they've made just to get the same information that they could go on the website and get it. But I want your permission to do that before I do that. The other question I've been asked is, can you put township board member information on the website? I do not want to be webmaster for 19 townships and 10 special road districts in the county. And I'm just going to be honest with you. But if you have one contact person that you would like for me to put on our website with a phone number, a contact number that's a good contact number, I would be willing to do that. You guys have to make that decision. Email me, let me know. I'm not going to force it, but I am willing to put your information out there just so that it's readily accessible. We get tons of phone calls. I went on your website and I cannot find contact information for anybody on my road board. So that's completely up to you. I'm opening that up to you guys. Let me know. You have my email address. You have my phone number. Do you have any questions for me?
I got one. To us all come individually and get sworn in, can you just swear at us all for a little bit? We'll be sworn in.
You know, that's a good note. Usually we have this meeting prior to the April election. It's usually in February. And I got to talking with the guys and with all the changes in our office, and I said there was a lot of townships that have new people going on the board or being elected. I said, let's wait till after the election so that those new people can come in and get the training, rather than training the old people who are getting ready to go out or letting them in. Had I thought about that, I would have brought oaths of office so you guys didn't have to make a special trip. I do have my county key with me. If you want to get sworn in and you're a clerk and you have not done that yet, I will be glad to run over and grab some oaths of office, and we can do that here so you guys don't have to make a special trip.
That's going above and beyond.
Well, that's what I do.
One of the things you might add, it's very important to have somebody on every township have their home phone number and their cell phone. Because there's times if you have to get a hold of somebody at a later time, whatever it is, if it's an emergency, they need to. We're telling them they print out a sheet that has everybody on it. And they have their cell and their business, whatever. But that's so they can be in touch. And that's the big thing. And it's good for the commissioners because if they need to call somebody, they need to know who they're gonna call. Because otherwise, some of the phone numbers, you never know who you're going to get. So that's the reason. And it's pretty important, especially being a township.
Yes, Steve.
those
You
time
sent-
zones.
I don't know if you
So-
didn't send it to everybody, but you sent me a thing that showed who was on our board.
Right.
And to make changes
Right.
if we needed to.
Right.
And I assumed you had all that information.
I do. When some people fill them out and some people don't.
What are you talking about?
So,
Okay.
there are those that follow the rules and those that don't, Steve.
Well, I thought all your information went to the clerk, was my understanding.
Yep.
Right,
It's
right.
been all that way for me, I don't know.
Sure.
You're a lot,
Yeah.
it's a lot better if it goes through the clerk.
I may already have yours, yes. But like I said, not everybody does that.
Okay.
I got one more question for Dennis. Have we gotten back to state bridge inspection stuff yet?
Do what?
Have you gotten back to state bridge inspection?
Let me see.
No.
State bridge inspection.
We have,
The 22nd, we have our bridge inspection meeting with the state guys, and we'll have the updated paperwork at that time.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to keep hearing anything.
Would you,
and one of the things I will tell you, this year, we got 2 Cartrock, or BRO bridges back in '21. This year, we're starting to build on both of them. It's been that long to get it just handled, and that's what MoDOT, and they're just saying, and then they give us another one, and where we end up there, I don't know, we'll see. But that's some things we're doing. And then hopefully, one is out there by the cemetery, that bridge. And then Dennis is gonna build another one down there to cover that. Get it. Anyway. But anyway, anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Okay. Do I hear a second?
He said it.
Second me?
Okay, motion been seconded, adjourned. We're adjourned, guys.
I think the battery went down.